Hey everybody, today we are going to do a nice comfort food. I just got home from work and it's cold and wet, and so before I went to work I put on a couple chicken breasts in my crock pot and cooked them for about 4 hours, and came home and shredded it up, and I put the broth in a pan to heat it up because we're going to make a homemade noodle slash dumpling. So I'm going to turn this on low to get it ready for our noodles. And right now we are going to mix our ingredients for the noodles. So it takes about 2.5 to 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons salt, and 1.5 teaspoons baking powder. You kind of want to mix that up a little bit. Very, very simple recipe that my grandmother made years ago, and we've always enjoyed it. So now we are going to add 3 eggs to the flour mixture. You don't have to over whip, you don't have to speed it up, just a slow mix will work. Now the recipe kind of turns out dry, so we're going to add a little bit of water. And I like to use cold water. So we are going to slowly add a little bit of water. It usually takes maybe 1/4 cup of water just to bring it up to where we need to roll it. You don't want to over mix it, it kind of toughens it up, but you do want to mix it thoroughly so that everything is proportioned right. And I think just a little bit more water. You just want all the dry flour off the bottom combined to the dough itself. It's going to be a tiny bit sticky, but that's okay. We're going to bring it up. That's all there is to it for the mixture. You could certainly add anything to it if you want added flavors or seasonings. I'm sure you could put anything in it. But once you put it in the chicken broth that we're going to make, and the chicken will let it simmer, I usually make a mashed potato with it or something, and it is so very good. Okay. So this is the mixture itself. Very simple. What we're going to do is throw some flour on our board here, and we're going to roll it out. And you want to make sure you put enough flour in, because you know it's going to stick because the dough is a little bit sticky. So we're going to just get that kind of ready to roll out. We don't want it stuck, but we do want to roll it out. So here we go. Your thickness is up to you. I like it a little thinner so I can cut them in small pieces and drop it in the broth with the chicken. And of course, if there's extra flour on here, that's okay, because that kind of is what thickens the broth itself. So there we go. That's all there is to it. If it tears up, it's okay because it's going in a pot. Okay, we're going to leave this sit for about a ½ hour to dry, because we don't want it mushy when we put it in the chicken broth. And we will continue this in about a ½ hour. Okay, everybody, it's been long enough for us to go ahead and add these noodles to our broth, and I took some pictures so I can put that on with the video. But what I normally do is I just pick them up And, you know, you kind of want to, the water's hot enough when it's boiling that they won't stick or anything else. They come right apart, but they swell up and get bigger in the water, or I guess the broth. And I try to add the flour that's on the board to help thicken it up. And I got some cornstarch and water that I mixed to add to the broth in case it's not thick enough from the leftover flour here. So we want to add these in here. Very simple. And this tastes really, really good for as simple as it is. So what we're going to do is just kind of blend it in there. I'm going to add a tiny bit of the cornstarch and water mixture. Turn up the heat a little bit just to make sure your water is simmering to cook those noodles and get the broth going. You can make it as thick as you want, but it's a little bit better when it is thicker. And it's good to have a little bit of extra broth for your mashed potatoes that I got cooking here. And we're going to go ahead and add the chicken. I'm going to get something to stir this up. And it smells amazing. It's such a good comfort food that when it's cold out, it's just really good. Okay, so we got our noodles in here, our chicken, our broth is thick enough. Now we're going to go ahead and let it simmer for about 30 minutes while our potatoes that I cut up for mashed potatoes. Once that's done and I put it on a plate, I'll present it to you so you can see how it is. Great recipe. Don't be afraid to try it. And thank you so much for watching.